Welcome to the Criminal Imaginations, where crimes are never simple, justice is rarely pure, and fiction always reveals more than facts ever could. Today, we turn a magnifying glass not towards a murder, but towards a mood, a long, grey English mood. Let's talk about British Reserve in crime fiction. Why do so many British detectives sound like Oxford dons and look like they have just wandered out of a quiet argument about poetry? And how did some of Britain's best crime writers fall in love with dullness, only to make it brilliant? Let's begin with Julian Simons, whose Bloody Murder of 1972 remains one of the sharpest critiques of crime fiction ever written, right alongside Raymond Chandler's The Simple Art of Murder. Though Simons plays it cooler, more British, reserved, ironic. Simons didn't outright insult his fellow British writers, but he wasn't kind either. He suggested politely that after Christie, British crime fiction hadn't really evolved, that it had settled, become cautious, even bored. His own writing proves the point. His early novels feature Inspector Bland, yes, that's his actual name, a man so meticulous he could bore a suspect into a confession. Simons placed these tales in post-war Britain, a land of tea, rain, and endless paperwork. Realistic, yes. Exciting only if you find quiet despair exciting. Now contrast that with the Americans, Chandler, Hammett, later Ross MacDonald, who let their detectives bleed, drink, punch, and philosophize. But the Brits, they wore gloves, they whispered, they enforced order politely. That politeness, though, began to crack. H.R.F. Keating, a near contemporary of Simons, solved it cleverly. He left Britain. He created Inspector Ghote, stationed in post-independence Bombay, now known as Mumbai. Here Keating found unpredictability, color, contradictions, all things missing in post-war British towns. Nicholas Freeling did something similar with Van der Valk in Amsterdam because there's where electric tension in a Midlands cul-de-sac. But Amsterdam, still reeling from the Nazi occupation, was haunted, liberal, tragic, and perfect. Some writers, like Colin Watson, stayed local, but they added a twist. His Inspector Pirbright might look like a milkman, but Watson's satire was razor sharp. His book Snobbery with Violence, written in 1971, skewered Golden Age writers as elitists playing Clue with class prejudice. He wanted realism, working class coppers dealing with real crimes. But here's the thing, he still couldn't resist a bit of farce. Because pure realism in British fiction always flirts with unbearable dullness. Enter J. J. Marrick, real name John Creasy. He gave us Commander Gideon, based at Scotland Yard, a man of principle, a touch of glamour. He faced topics Poirot wouldn't dare: police corruption, domestic violence, drug trafficking. But even Gideon was old school, a family man, full of faith in the system. Then came the modern titles: Reginald Hill's Dalziel, brutal and vulgar, counterbalanced by his moral compass, Pasco. Colin Dexter's Morse, erudite, a lonely detective with a taste for opera and regret. Ruth Randall's Wexford, a suburban gentleman with just enough wit to solve crimes without quoting Greek tragedies. And of course, P.D. James's Adam Dalgliesh, a poet and a policeman, elegant and haunted. Dalgliesh doesn't belong in a crime novel. He belongs in an Irish Murdoch story. But James makes him work. Why? Because he believed that a crime novel may be formulaic, but the writer never has to be. That's the secret. The British crime novel doesn't always thrill, but it endures because of its language, class obsessions, and quiet grief. Its power lies not only in the gunshot, but in the silence after. So tell me, which Detective has stayed with you the longest? Is it the brutal Dalziel, the tragic Morse, or the poet with a badge, Dalglish? Then let's talk about the detective who don't just solve crimes but reflect a nation's soul. This has been the criminal imagination. Stay sharp, stay curious, and whatever you do, remember murder is a dull, ordinary business until someone writes it well. Until next.